The white scars are absolutely savage, dripping with slick Mongolian style and fast like lightning. But forget Space Marines, what about the grunts, the workers, the humble chapter serfs? My name's Nick, this is Miniature Death, and we're gonna kitbash some rugged, Asian-inspired. The basis for my serf is the Jade Warriors kit from Grand Cathay, the new Old World faction. Bit of an oxymoron there. These sculpts take inspiration from medieval China and Mongolia, perfect for white scars. But once I had the basic torso and legs, I needed to drag things into the 41st millennium with the Horus Heresy Solar Auxilia Command Kit. This Cyber Saber could be wielded by a futuristic warrior of the steppes, and this retro-looking plasma pistol boosts the techno-feudalism vibes. Together, it makes for a bold, defensive stance, and chapter serfs are typically deployed in planetary defense roles. Let's fill this awkward hole in the belt with a grenade and ammo pouch from the Solar Auxilia kit. It's like it was made to fit. And now, I need some head. Originally, I wanted this shouting face, also from the Solar Auxilia kit, with a cool, bald-shaved hairstyle like a samurai, but it looks kinda chunky and awkward in place. I also considered this head from the Jade Warriors kit, but that's a bit obvious, isn't it? Finally, I turned to the Dark Oath Fellrider kit for this badass scarred face with a flowing top knot. Sadly, my Fellrider head has no neck, which means it sits too low. For a quick and dirty fix, I sliced off a Jade Warrior neck and used it to loosely plug the hole, dry fitting as I went to check everything worked, and then a big dollop of sprue goo to fill out the rest. No green stuff needed. It's rough, but you'll never really see under that high collar, and I guess I'll worry about accessing the face later. Next, we need some shoulder pads to bulk out the silhouette, but the Solar Auxilia ones are a tad too fancy for me. These ones, taken from the Baneblade crew, fit the bill nicely. Chunky and blocky and simple, and you can't really go wrong with a big fat skull. Okay, I still feel like the model is missing some true white scar flavour. I thought about adding this trophy tassel, which I won during a game versus my mate Ed's Space Wolves, but there wasn't really a suitable place to hang it because it's so bulbous. So I returned to the Dark Oath Fellriders kit and found this severed head hanging by the hair. Khan himself would be proud. I just need to liberate it from the saddle and tidy up with my knife, then hang it from the belt like it's swaying in the breeze. To make sure things read as 40k and not fantasy, let's tuck a few extra grenades here and there, a little smashed skull on the base, taken from the bountiful Citadel Skulls kit, slop on some texture paste, mine's kinda drying out and is a bit of a ball ache to work with, but we got there in the end, and one white scar serf. And while we're getting primed, make sure to hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video. To get set for painting, I primed with a simple black and grey zenithal, perfect for our bright white colour scheme. Now, I know some of you hate airbrushing, but I did quickly hit the model with Pro Acryl Bold Titanium White directly from above, just on the prominent armour panels. And you could do this with a rattle can, I just don't own a pure white primer. For this project, I wanted to try something different for me, relying on contrast paints more. I started with Flesh Tearers Red on all the fabric, hanging down and bulging up around his belt. Trying not to spill on any areas that are going to be white will make my life much easier later on. Then some Black Legion contrast for his boots. One coat and I'm done. Nobody's looking at those weird curly toes anyway. Oh, and let's base his gun as well. Next, some Gore Grunter fur for all the leathery bits. Loads of belts and straps and pouches. I did start to worry that there wouldn't be much white left for my white scar colour scheme, so I did think ahead for ways to preserve that dominant colour. Let's use some opaque paint for the metals, cause speed paint style metallics just look naff to me. Surcoat silver on these ribbed arm tubes. Same again on all this medieval segmented armour, again being ultra careful not to spill onto surrounding white areas. A quick coat on that absolutely sick power saber, and a simple dry brush on this vintage looking plasma pistol. Next up, Dragon's Gold for decorative elements like his big fat belt buckle, the decorative hilt and pommel of his Cyber Saber, and the details on these Imperial shoulder pads. Now, as I'm watching this footage back, I'm thinking maybe I should have gone for red instead, but I don't know, you decide, let me know in the comments. Caliban Green for grenades, because everyone knows all grenades are green. with a little bit of silver for the pin. Almost done base coating now. I used a mix of elven skin and ivory tusk for that savage looking visage, and pure ivory tusk for the dead fella round back. Oh, and a bit of that flesh tone to paint these random tassels that I forgot about until now. A wash of wildwood contrast on the dead guy's hair, and for the living fella, I added a splash of Flesh Tearer's red to give him an almost cinnamon coloured tone. And finally, it's time for the easy part. Washes using even more contrast paint. Apothecary White is my new favourite colour, carefully applied all over the white armour, particularly on the arms, trying to avoid spilling on the metallics because it can dull stuff down. It's very subtle, but it adds all the definition we need really, while keeping things gleaming bright. To shade things further, I used Nuln Oil mixed with a tiny dab of Black Legion because the new Nuln Oil recipe just doesn't give enough intensity for me. His little arm pipes, all that metallic armour, his gun, anything that needs a deep shade. For the skin, some pure Guilliman flesh, healthily applied on the healthy guy and very thinly on the dead guy. And then, total disaster, my first ever paint spill and I didn't even catch it on camera. What, that's like a fiver down the drain? Anyway, I was going to continue applying Guilliman flesh to the gold, but I guess fate wanted me to stick to my tried and true recipe. Duncan Rhodes flesh wash, which I also applied to the leather, anywhere the white contrast had dulled it down. Some Skeleton Horde for Mr. Skeleton, some very thin Volupus pink to add a little flush to the healthy face, and some Athonian camo shade to make the dead face look rotten and bloated, perfect for slinging at the enemy like a true maniac. And then more pure white, thinned down to coat the plasma coils, in prep for a paint I've never really used, Tesseract Glow. Whoa, that's bright, too cartoonish for me, bit more Athonian camo shade, brings it back to reality. Alright, highlight time. Let's layer on more Dragon's Gold to return a little shine, followed by Stormhost Silver for extreme highlights, the edge of the sword, belt buckle, doodad and pistol barrel. Then that bold red, starting with a chunky edge highlight and glaze of Mephiston red, followed by Demon Red for a real bright punch on this hanging tassel and all around the rim of the skirt. And then white, especially around the collar to tidy up any spills, and then careful edge highlighting just on the most prominent areas like this armour plating, as well as this decorative pattern on the tabard. Highlighting the skin very roughly with pure ivory tusk, and also on Toot Toot Mr. Skeletal down there on the base. For the hair, I just added a bit of gore grunter fur to my ivory tusk, adding more and more lightness progressively, just catching the most prominent strands. And then a thin down coat of dryad bark all over the texture paste on the base, and on the rim too actually, for simplicity. A little dab of my favourite product, Vallejo pigment powders, to add some dust around those toe beans. Which brings us to this. A noble, nomadic warrior in lifelong thrall to the speediest space marines in the galaxy. This kitbash is pretty simple, but I love how the classic White Scar colour scheme translates beautifully to a more detailed sculpt. Oh, and unrelated, but I nearly died last week, so turns out if you ever have an intense pain in your stomach that slowly spreads to just the right hand side, don't ignore it, your appendix is trying to kill you. Anyway, my name's Nick, this is Miniature Death. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to watch Physical Asia on Netflix because honestly, it's sick and it makes me want to go to Mongolia.